Hey, how's it going out there, everybody? Cool Colas here to bring you the hustler's perspective. I got a pretty cool and interesting topic for you guys today. I want to talk to you all about why I feel people hold themselves back from being as successful as they could be. So, the reason why I chose this topic is because I hear a lot from people always talking about the goals that they see themselves achieving and that they would like to achieve in the future. But then I also see them presenting reasons as to why they haven't tried to go after those goals or tried to pursue those goals. So I'm hoping that this video can inspire someone to try to go after those goals. But I don't intend to criticize. So I'm throwing out that disclaimer because I'm going to be very honest about how I feel about this topic in a couple different reasons that I'm going to present to you guys. The other thing too is that I want to just help someone. But I want to help someone in a way where they understand maybe the error of their ways or see something from a different perspective. Maybe they haven't tried something, or maybe they haven't looked at their situation a certain way, and maybe it could change things around for them because of their epiphany. And the other thing that I want people to realize is that they have the power of choice and they have the ability to choose the goals that they want to meet. So let me kind of get into it here for you guys. So the first thing is I think that people listen too much to what other people think and their vision of that path to success. So the first thing, I think only you as a person know the path of success that you want to achieve. And you know for yourself what is best for you as well too. Other people don't. And I think what others tend to do is others tend to set the bar from you based on the reality that they've created for themselves. So I think it's possible, and I'm not knocking this in any way, like getting other people's advice or candid advice, but I think it's okay to admire and strive to reach a goal that someone else has reached, as long as it's something that lines up with your own goals as well too. But I think it's impractical to completely live off of someone else's life vision, and I think that you will never achieve the happiness or the goals that you want to achieve by trying to do it that way, because essentially everybody's destiny and everybody's final goal, or meeting everybody's final goal, is different. And I think that you have to realize that when people have certain visions for how they see your life going or how they see things happening, that's their idea of how they see it fit. But you know all the pieces to the puzzle. You know what's going to make you the happiest, and you know what's going to be in your best interest. So I think that there's people who give their advice, or they give their opinion more so. Sometimes it's not advice. Sometimes they're not trying to help you. Sometimes they're just being honest, and that's not really advice. That's just them being honest. Um, but aside from those types of people, there are people who will tear you down, and their opinion is absolutely irrelevant. You don't listen to them at all because their goal is to tear you down. And usually you can tell who's trying to tear you down. Sometimes it's difficult, but usually you're going to be able to tell. The other thing is, you know your own weaknesses and you know your strengths in full. And then others are basing their opinion off of what they have seen. So basically, they have partially observed what they know of you and what they have heard of you and what they have seen of you and heard that's coming out of your mouth, and they base their opinion based off of those things. But you are the one who knows yourself in full, so you know if someone is giving their candid opinion on your situation, that they're only giving it based off of what they know, but you know the full story, and you know if whether it applies to you or whether it doesn't. So that's one of the things. People listen to people too much. Stop doing that. The next thing, I feel as though people tap into fears and insecurities a little bit too much. First off, I think that people tend to fear risk, and they tend to play it safe. So they refuse to take a risk because they don't want to take a chance on themselves, because they are fearing that something bad is going to happen and it's going to be the end of the world if they try something and it doesn't work out. And also, I feel like you hold yourself back if you do that. I feel as though you doom yourself before you even start if you decide that you don't want to take a risk. None of the most successful people in the world, financially, we're speaking here, were or got that level of success by not taking risks. They didn't play it safe. They decided to jump out there and try to get something done for themselves and try to make a better life for themselves because they did take that risk. Also, the other thing too is I think that you spend more time focusing on finding out or figuring out ways that your goals or whatever you're trying to achieve won't work than you do how it will work. So you're thinking in the negative, as I kind of mentioned. You're thinking in a way where you're dooming yourself. You basically have spent so much time and energy figuring out why things wouldn't work out for you that you forgot how it could actually work out for you, and it's been working against you for a very long time. And the reason why is I feel like you could take that same energy that you put into trying to figure out why it won't work. You need to put that same energy into finding out why it will. And in the meantime, I'm going back to my first point, stop listening to people, because some people will tell you, well, practically speaking, that's something that I think is going to happen. So stop listening to that. Listen to your calling and what you feel like the goal that you want to reach is, and why you feel like it's going to work out and how you envision it. That's going to be your positive counter to that. So let's get into the third point here. So the next thing that I think is a reason why people hold themselves back is because I think they waste a lot of time on bad habits. So in other words, I think that people don't spend a lot of time investing in themselves and researching their craft. I mean, now technology and Google and things like that have kind of made a way for people that they can pretty much figure out almost anything that they want to figure out by looking at the internet. Now, I'm not saying that it's that easy, because I think that there is this bad habit of people making it seem like it's that easy, because it's not. Because there's a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of falsified information. There's a lot of people who are fake know-it-alls, as I like to call them. They're saying a lot of things and what they believe and how something's going to work, but they don't really even know if it's gonna work for you. Or matter of fact, they don't even know if it's going to work for them, because they're just speaking on it. They haven't really tried it out. And I'm a firm believer in speaking on things that you know and that you understand. So I think there's a lot of that going on the internet too. So I'm not saying that like Googling things is going to be as simple as clicking on the first thing that you see. So you will have to do a little bit of digging, but it will require that. And I think people aren't doing that. They're not researching their craft, and they're not researching their goals and the things that they that they want to get accomplished. They're not trying to focused on that. The next thing I think is that people want instant gratification. They rather forget this whole work now, play later concept, and they rather reward themselves instantaneously. And usually, when they reward themselves, it's with what I feel tends to be nonsense. So let me tell you my definition of nonsense, which could be different than your definition of nonsense. They tend to spend their like money, because this is what I mean by reward. They tend to spend their money and their finances on partying and drinks, like new clothes, cars, things that impress other people. So they tend to, you get kind of my point, but they tend to spend their money on things that just really don't, I guess, don't really have any value, in my opinion. They tend to want to reward themselves with things that they feel are a definition of being rewarded in American society, but they're not trying to reward themselves by investing in themselves. That's rewarding yourself. So I think that that's another thing that's an issue. And I think another thing too is I think people spend a lot of time on really silly stuff. They spend a lot of time, for example, while they could be researching, again, I'm going back to the researching thing. They spend a lot of time researching instead they're like sitting there on Facebook and YouTube, and they're watching silly videos, and they're watching or they're hearing and looking at a lot of celebrity drama. They're talking about that on social networks, and the new trend of what's going on here and there. And I'll give you a big one I've been hearing about a lot: fidget spinners, like just really stupid stuff that just doesn't matter. They also haven't established something as a priority, and I think that's another bad habit. People are prioritizing poorly, so they haven't established, in my opinion, their own self as a priority. they have a habit of choosing their priorities based on what they feel is going to be a necessity. For most people, that's like, going to work, coming home, sleeping, and repeating the cycle. Their priorities are not in line. That's why they can't get to the goal that they want to get to. They're so concerned about living in the mundane present that they don't think about living in a different type of present mind, state of mind, I guess. The other thing I feel is that people aren't organized and they don't have a set schedule. I had a friend of mine's recently. He was telling me about one of his mentors, and he was talking about how one of his mentors like is a very set schedule person. So and I've seen the spreadsheet of it, and I kind of do something very similar myself now. But I think that on this sheet, basically they had like time slots of all the things that they do daily, and this person did this like every single day. And then what they would do is they would take like I guess maybe another 30 minutes to an hour of their time past how the expected time that they would tend to spend on something like at a given time, and then they would basically have everything down to the T every single day. So they got a repetition going, and they got like a certain method and a certain science. I think most people aren't doing that. They're just kind of just living by how things go. I just think you should. The reason why I don't really think that you have to be anal about your schedule. I do think that it's important to be a scheduled person. I do, but I don't think that you have to be anal about it, because things do happen. So things will shift every now and again. But I think the important thing is to realize that you need to understand what's going to be important and what you must get done and what you must be able to finish doing. So that's another thing, and that's another, I think, big thing that people tend to mess up on, is they don't really schedule well. And the last point I want to kind of make to you guys here is people don't realize their power of choice. And I think I said this earlier. So they don't want to sacrifice what they have to get what they really want. So in other words, I think people always have a choice to try to do something differently than how they have done it before. But a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people want to do the same old stuff over and over again. And really, only a crazy person will like do the same thing over and over again. I think that sometimes you need to give up things that you have that you don't necessarily need in order to get what you do want and need it in some cases. So I think that you're going to have to sacrifice, and people a lot of times don't want to do that. And that may be giving up that item that you have and maybe selling it, and maybe helping you to get more like finances to invest in something, or or maybe you need to sacrifice like some of like the time that you spend doing kind of silly stuff again, like that would be like social networking all the time, or watching TV, or whatever it is that you do a lot. So that's one thing. Another thing is they want to be they don't really want to be tired from grinding. Like they don't enjoy the idea of grinding and working hard, because they feel like they do a lot of hard work already at their job, at work. So I don't think that people want to try to do the extra grind that they're going to need to achieve their goals. I think they choose to live this routine life, and then they don't choose anything different. And they say that they're going to do it, and then they end up not doing it because life just happens to them, right? So then I think people also, the other reason why I think people aren't utilizing their power of choice is because they're busy making excuses why they haven't done something instead of seeking other alternatives. My thing is, if you are seeking other alternatives, just be patient. If it's not working out, just be patient and keep doing it. If you haven't and you're making excuses, then you can't be mad at anybody but yourself, because you made the executive choice that you're not going to do something because thing A, B, C, and D has stopped you from doing it. And I think that that's another thing that kind of people don't really realize, is that they have the choice to do something different than how they're doing it. My last recommendation would be to check out the book As a Man Thinketh. That's a very important book that tells you about the power of the mind and the power of choices and the power of getting things done based off of how you think. So I'm going to do a book review on that at some point. It's probably not going to be this month, but it will be sometime in the near future. So continue to look out for that as well too. But I just made that recommendation because this kind of spoke to me when we were sitting there talking about the power of choice and people having the choice to kind of change up their destiny. But anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed this video and everything that I had to say. I hope you got a chance to learn something, and hopefully I changed some of your minds and inspired you, because really what I want to do is inspire you, not insult you. So that's kind of what I was hoping to get from this. So if you like what you heard today, then feel free to subscribe to The Hustler's Perspective. If you guys want to follow my Facebook page for The Hustler's Perspective, you can search it at The Hustler's Perspective YouTube channel. If you want to follow my blog, you can go to hustlersjackpot.com. And please subscribe to that as well too. If you want to go to my Facebook page for my blog, you can search me at The Hustler's Jackpot. If you want to follow my business page on Instagram, you can go to at The Hustler's Jackpot. And if you would like to follow my personal page, then you can go to at Cool Colas. Hope everybody is having a good day once again, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope everybody continues to look at the rest of the videos that are going to be coming out, because this 7-day video process has not ended yet. This video a day for 7 days thing, it's still going on, and I still got some pretty interesting stuff to show you guys. So definitely tune in and keep hustling. See you later.